Hello everyone, and welcome to Spark Series Season 2 by Opto Research Consultancy Services. And this season is going to be focusing and getting insights from experienced research scholars in the field of eye and vision care. And today we have Mr. Aniruddha, a PhD scholar from Australia. And thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Aniruddha. And over to you. Before I hand it over, can you explain or tell about yourself before we take up the questions? Thank you.
Hi, Gopi. It's nice to be here. Nice to see you after so many years. And this is a exciting platform. And good luck with your job. You are doing excellent. My name is Aniruddha Banerjee. I'm from India and I pursued my optometry, bachelor optometry from Kolkata, Vidyasagar College of Optometry and Vision Science. And then I did my clinical fellowship from Eye Foundation, Coimbatore. I worked there for a few years before getting into research field in Shankar Nethralaya with ESO, collaboration with BITS Pilani. I did MPhil there. And after completion of my MPhil project, I worked for a few years as an optometrist, as a researcher, and then I got selected in QUT, Queensland University of Technology, for my PhD program. And currently I'm a PhD student.
Yeah,
I am towards my end of my PhD. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So let me start with the quick couple of things. What inspired you to take up optometry as a profession? I know
Well,
it's been a long time you finished your undergrad. Still, you can remember some of recollect and share some points.
yeah, it's true. It was a long time, 16, 17 years maybe. So basically, like everyone, optometry is not something that we used to hear since our childhood. It's not like medical doctor, engineer, lawyer, CA. We usually get to know about optometry before getting into the optometry. I'm sure same for you as well. So I didn't know about optometry, to be brutally honest, before getting into optometry. It was my father who told me about optometry. He read an article in a Bengali newspaper about optometry, and he told me that this is a potential career path. And I didn't really try much during that time. I just chose to chose in optometry field, and I get into optometry. I started learning optometry. I was a bachelor student in Vidyasagar College of Optometry and Vision Science, and yeah, that's how my career started.
Okay, nice. So, as an undergraduate, when you were an undergraduate student, did you have any specific interest within the scope of optometry, or how did you decide, okay, your career goals are going to be aligned in a such a way you're going to take up research?
Honestly, at the very beginning of my optometry career, I was not focused. I didn't know about that I'm going to do research, or it was just a slow learning process where where at one point of time I didn't know anything about optometry, and then slowly started growing into optometry. At the a very initial phase, I didn't have any specific interest as such. Like I won't say I was interested in contact lens, I was interested in binocular vision. I won't say that. But in our college, from second year onwards, we were fortunate enough to go into the hospital. We used to have a tie-up with an eye hospital. There, we used to go once in a week in second year, and then third year we used to go 2 to 3 times in a week. And from there onwards, I started developing love in seeing patient physically. And that point of time, I realized that I somehow, why I don't know, but I was interested in geriatric population, old and vulnerable people. It's not that I don't like kids. I love kids, but I don't know how. Maybe I get emotional seeing them in clinic, like when they are vulnerable and crying. So I was more focused into the geriatric population, and that's how I started gaining interest, because you don't have much to do for them. All you can do is you can be nice with them, talking through them, okay, understanding them, educating them, making them comfort. So that part of the things I developed when I was an undergraduate student, and that part helped me when I went to I Foundation for my internship and fellowship, and then I started working. I always stayed into that group of geriatric population, and eventually, when you are in a geriatric population, you will be into incline in the retina, right? So that's how I got into retina department, in glaucoma department in my later life, and then slowly things went on.
So I believe so that clinical experience of seeing geriatric population and having interest in retina might have led you to pursue research in
Yeah.
optometry.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, not knowingly, but unknowingly, it pulled me towards that direction. You know,
Okay.
I mean, it was exciting. How about you? I mean, what was your area of interest during your undergraduate
Uh,
time?
I was mainly involved in looking at more of psychophysics because my supervisor was involved in psychophysical aspect. We were looking into how a monofocal implanted IOL patient is able to see near without accommodation. That was the triggering question, and we did a small pilot work, and I could present in one of the EV memorial sessions, and it was well received. And we could not make it as a paper, but that was the trigger point. I started my research, and then yeah, you might be knowing the story of joining as a junior research
Yeah,
fellow and Canexalia, we worked together. And
yeah,
it
yeah.
took a very long way. And eventually, I have an interest in the geriatric population. Again, in
Mm-hmm.
retina, more towards macular degeneration. That's my interest right now.
Right,
I
right.
have been working with people who have lost central vision, understanding the patient perspective point through qualitative research. That become my area of interest right now.
Mm-hmm.
So to learn more about yourself, I wanted to jump into the next question. This is
Mm, yeah,
this is
sure.
a very common question you might hear from your juniors. How many times did you apply for PhD portion before you get in?
Well, I tried only once.
That's it.
That's I only tried once, and long before applying for PhD, I was a bit organized. I
Mhm,
knew that I'm going to apply for, like, once I got into the research, I knew that I'm going to do PhD, and before even starting venturing into research like PhD or something, I was getting organized, like a lot of things. People will be confused at the very beginning about how to do, what to do, whom to contact, what all the things are required. I was organizing everything in the background, like working on publication, and
mhm,
one thing is very important here is compiling your documents. You have n number of documents, and during your application process, at least abroad, when you're applying for PhD, you have to submit everything literally. So I used to working on organizing my documents, working on searching potential researchers, like professors and everyone, going through their profile. And I have done my background work long before I started writing in email. And I wrote one email to the potential supervisor I was looking for. And that's how it clicked. And from there onwards, we started discussing, and it's going on.
Yeah, that's excellent. So you have covered my next couple of questions, like the key challenges you face as a during filling up any PhD application. So you already answered that you are organized in terms of
Yeah.
having a proper SOP and having a proper curriculum vitae. So what can you give some advice on for the students who is listening to us, on preparing the curriculum vitae or uh, SOPs while applying for PhD?
Yeah, yeah. So before getting into that, I will little bit discuss about one important aspect here about how to approach someone. That's a very
Mm,
important question that usually students may ask. As I slightly touched that part, as you have to do a background work towards that person. You have to go through their profile. Every supervisor or potential researchers have their personal profile. You go through it, you read about it, and then you go to their publication, recent 5 years of publication, see what they're doing. Okay, read. You don't have to be very thorough, but briefly you can go through all those publication. You find out the potential things that they are interested in. Okay, and then you start writing your email. Very concise method. You don't have to write a huge email. People don't have time to read a big email. Okay, you have to be very strategic about first of all writing an email. Like it has to be some way that the person uh, is going to revert you back. Okay, briefly, you introduce yourself. What is you? Who are you, and what you have done? You might have done masters, and then you have a couple of publications, and then you tell them, which is very important, about you have went through their profile. You went through their publication, recent publication, and I have noticed that you are interested in this particular field. And as I have done somewhat
Mhm.
work in that similar field, that's actually connects us in that same interest. And I think this would be great working with you. Okay, that will give an insight to the person about you have done your homework well. Okay, you are organized. You didn't come up in empty hand to say hello. Okay, so that's how a conversation really starts. Regarding your and in that email, when you're sending an email, you can attach your CV, updated CV. Okay, and regarding the CV, again, it should not be a huge CV. You might have done so many things. Okay, it should not be 4 pages of CV. Okay, it has to be a small one within 2 pages. Briefly, initially, you can introduce yourself, your name, date of birth, or something like that. Then you talk in phase like about your education. Okay, you don't have to write a sentence. You just write in bullet points about your education. Then coming to the research, what all the research work you have done, and it should always go into the reverse chronology. The one which you have done recently, that will come first, and then slowly you will go backwards. And then you come to the conferences that you have attended. Maybe you have attended same conference repeatedly. Just don't write same thing again and again. Just write EV Memorial 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that. And then next section would be your achievements. You might have received an award or something like that, prizes. These things you can attach. And
Okay.
then towards the end, you can write about your some skills. You don't write about MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint. These are not important. Everybody knows nowadays these things. You write something which is important. Yeah, the MATLAB, if you know basic MATLAB, that you can write it. If you know R, you can write about R. SPSS is also fine. You can write about these things, and a few small section of your hobbies. That's a good one, because it tells you from your hobby that what type of person you are. If you are organized, if you are dedicated, you are not a kind of person who usually quits. Some hobbies requires lots of attention, lots of dedication. So yeah, you can add that one too. And towards the end, few names of referees must be your supervisors, and that's how you can end your CV.
That's
Yeah,
excellent. Like you have concise a proper email as well as a CV to approach
yeah.
any supervisor
In
of
terms of
your interest.
SOP also, SOP is somewhat similar to your CV, there where you will be writing down your in sentences. Same again, it will come with a brief introduction, your education level, and your experiences, research publication, and of course, the things which will add in SOP is why you want to get into the research. What important question in SOP that everyone looks wanting to know, that why you choose to be in that particular organization. What do you feel about their research team? What excites you about their work? And you are also interested in to contribute in the research, where you see yourself in 5 or 10 years down the lane, yourself as a researcher, how is going to contribute to the community or mankind.
Mhm.
These things you can add in SOP, and that's how you can write about it.
Okay, so in continuation to your answer, like in terms of looking at the background shape of a supervisor or writing to them, do you think the seniors or the mentors who are already pursuing at a particular university through connects has an impact on in terms of approaching the supervisor?
It does definitely. It does help people to communicate, and the process goes little easier if
Mhm,
someone is there within that institute or was there previously, and if you will contact them, it usually goes smooth. But in my case, I did not really contacted anyone
mhm,
before approaching PhD. I just learned by myself, and I knew what I have to do. So in terms of me, I was not really fortunate. Yeah, I talked to some few friends. Those became my family now. But potentially, I was the only sole person who contacted. But
yeah.
yeah, being someone into the in that, and being a senior person, it is their duty definitely to help them to understand things, because being a naive person, you might not know how to go ahead with this thing.
Mhm.
But if they will give you some insight about who is the person in that department working similar to your expertise, it's get easy to connect with them. And yeah, you will be mentally prepared what I'm going to get.
Okay, so coming to your PhD life, how did you adjust to life in Australia as an international student? And in continuation to that, what were the initial challenges you faced during your PhD program, and some key tips for aspiring students to overcome those challenges?
Hmm. Um, Australia is a great country. It's an exciting, it's a beautiful country. There should not be any fear about what I'm going to get. People are very kind, understanding. I never faced any sort of, racism or any kind of challenges. Right after coming to Australia, till now, every day it used to be a beautiful experience to me. So in a country wise, it's a awesome country, no doubt about that. With regards to research, um, the style of working in research, it's
Mm,
slightly different from Indian perspective. And I'll break down these things. It might help you or some potential, researchers, aspiring researchers, to know about it, because not everywhere we do research the way we used to do. Here, what thing I have noticed as a PhD student, as you said, what are the challenges I face? It's not a challenge, but I would say rather a knowledge that here people work a lot in designing the research. We take up a lot of time to design the methodology. Okay. Uh, discussing about methodology, doing pilot for a long time. We had that thought in mind back 10 years ago that pilot should be a small one. Okay, take couple of patients, 5 to 6, do a small piloting, and then start collecting actual data. But a lot of time, what happens when you will middle of your data collection, actual data collection, you might feel that, okay, I should have done this way. I should have make some changes. Now you don't have time or opportunities to make changes. You have to continue what you are doing. But doing a long pilot is actually helps you to design your methodology well. And here, that is the kind of thing that we usually do, a long time piloting with not a many population, but small population, but a repeated time, repeated measurement, and seeing those results, analyzing them, creating figures, graph, and then deciding what we are going to do. That's a reverse order that we are doing here. That's a
mhm.
hugely nice and beautiful thing to learn after coming here. And yeah, things are different everywhere.
Yeah, that's an excellent piece of advice. Look at your methodology before you start your actual
Definitely,
data collection. Yeah,
definitely.
that that's very much lacking in Indian population, and I feel that should be uh, very much done. And coming to the next point, uh, in continuing with the challenges, I just thought of asking a couple of more questions on what do you do as a current research project, and what motivated you to do those choose those topics.
Okay, so I will answer to the second question first, then the first one because it will go in order, I guess. Uh, Actually, I was interested in electrophysiology,
Mm,
and to be very honest, if I'll go back little behind that, when I got selected in MPhil, I was given a topic of electrophysiology, and that's a funny part here because I didn't know about electrophysiology that well.
okay.
So I didn't know much about electrophysiology back then. So I was a little confused. I was a little worried about whether I'm going to like it or not. But throughout the process, when I started learning about it, when I was reading about it, and at one point of time, when I realized that, okay, I know electrophysiology well, at that point of time, I developed that love for research and electrophysiology and other stuff. So that's a kind of slow process. It's not a one day love for your research or a specific topic you want to pursue your career in research. So when there on in my MPhil project, I did research on electrophysiology. After a completion of my MPhil, I worked there in SN for a couple of years. There also, I used to work as a clinician for in electrophysiology department. Side by side, I was working publication same as electrophysiology, and that's how I searched potential supervisor who is also interested in electrophysiology. I approached him that I want to work in electrophysiology, and he agreed. And after coming here, we developed. Now I'm coming to the first part of your question, what I'm
Mm,
doing in my current research project. Honestly, I'm not allowed to talk in details at this moment, but briefly, I will tell you that I'm working on isolating photoreceptor classes. As you know, there are five photoreceptors in our retina: L cone, M cone, S cone, rod, and melanopsin. So the spectral sensitivity of each photoreceptor are highly tangled. First is goes S cone, then melanopsin, then rod, then M cone, then long wavelength. So those are like highly tangled. It's quite kind of tough to dissociate because if you try to isolate a single photoreceptor class, the neighboring photoreceptors also will get excited. Suppose if you want to record melanopsin response, what is the peak spectral sensitivity of melanopsin cells? It's 480 nanometer. So if you just use what the color of 480 nanometer, it will be like a signish, right? So if
mm,
you just use a sign light to evaluate melanopsin response, the very next to it is rod at 490 nanometer, 498 nanometer. What is there in the other side is SCOM, 440, 445 nanometer. So definitely melanopsin will get excited, but your neighboring cell also will get excited. That's how we use silent substitution method. So while using silent substitution, we use different primaries for different photoreceptor classes. As there are five photoreceptor, we use five primaries: blue, cyan, green, amber, and red. So a specific permutation and combination, some increment or some decrement of each primaries will actually excite a targeted photoreceptor class, while other photoreceptor will remain silent. Okay, that's a complex method. I'm not going into the details. So by doing that, we have developed an instrument that we can modulate temporally and spatially. And that's how we are mapping individual photoreceptor classes in our retina by using electrophysiology to see anatomically and physiologically and electrical potential response, whether this is coinciding with the two or not.
mm.
So this is idea of my research project. I'm creating individual photoreceptor mapping.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's excellent. So I hope that that will come to a clinical practice in a much
Yeah,
better
yeah,
way in terms of diagnosis and early detection of multiple degenerative diseases. As I remember, you were
definitely.
working on similar grounds during your MPhil project on glaucoma patients, looking at the
Exactly.
negative
Yeah.
PNR. If
Photopic
I'm not
negative
wrong.
response.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so I vaguely remember those terms. So,
Yeah.
coming to the last couple of closing questions, What are the essential qualities you think a research scholar should have? And continuing to that, would you give some like key advices to people who wants to take up a research, or even an undergraduate student? What are the things they should be learning or doing from as a background work?
Yeah. Right. So here also, I will go to the second question first and then the first one. As you might have received lots of messages from aspiring researchers, so do I. We receive emails or messages from aspiring researchers, and they are a little bit of that confusion zone. Whether should I go into the research, whether this is what I'm going to like. Okay, am I going to regret in future? They're confused. So to them, actually, I will tell that research is not, as I told initially, that it's not a lover's first sight. It's not that you will look into the research and you will fall in research. Never going to happen. It's a slow process. Initially, when you will get into the research, hoping that you are a complete naive person, you have no knowledge about research. Initial phase is going to be tough. It's going to be boring. It's going to be, you will not know what you are doing. Slowly, when you will start understanding things, okay, when you will start first write your proposal and it will get accepted, that will give you a bit of joy. When you will write your ethics and it will get accepted, it will give a little more joy. When you call your first participant and you will do some experiments, and you will get to see your response, your graph figures, slowly it will build up that love for research. And then at the end, when you will publish that paper and it will get accepted, you will take a printout of your research paper and you will stare. Basically, you will not read it because you know what you have written in there, but it will feel like it's your baby, right? That's how a love for research grows. No one on this earth would ever say that, I always wanted to be that one. They don't know. They just fall in love slowly. So yeah, if you have slight a bit of idea of getting to the research, planning for it, should get into it. Okay, don't worry about whether it's good for you or not, or whether you're going to like it or not. Always, there is nothing called liking and disliking. When people say uh, it's boring, it's interesting, what I hear is I don't know and I know. You tend to love or like things which you actually know, and you will hate things, you will avoid things which you don't know much about it. So the better answer is you get to know about it, you will learn. You will slowly, when you will learn, you will eventually you will fall in love on that topic, on that subject, or whatever you are doing. So yeah, that's my message to the aspiring researchers. And key features for researchers would be something like get organized. Okay, that's very, very important. I come again and again because being organized is always essential before approaching someone, before taking up a topic or doing a background search about the supervisor or project, going through the article. Okay, and keep everything organized. Later, it will help you. Even if you are writing a proposal or something, every time you will just make another version, version one, version two. We all have done that, right? So then you can be organized, and yeah, that's how it goes on. It's a learning process. Your supervisor will guide you. You listen to your supervisor, being hoping that you are a completely naive person in research, so you should listen to your supervisor. They are the one who have vast knowledge about what you are doing. They knows what they are doing, so listen to your supervisor. But at the same time, I would say, don't always shake your head and come back home. If you know what you're doing, if you are confident, you can be argumentative, because it's already established that disagreeable people are more successful in life. So, and sometimes supervisors or with whom you are working, they like you being little argumentative. You are debating these things, these small things you can take up being a researcher, because research is all about arguments. When you're writing a paper in discussion, it's all about arguments. So if you are not argumentative, how you are going to write it? So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's excellent, Anirudh. Thank you so much for being part of this initiative, and I wish you all the best for your future research and all the endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gopi. Thanks a lot for inviting me. It's a nice platform, very good and very unique in terms of Indian population. I'm sure not many are doing right now. So I wish you luck to your channel, your work to grow more and reaching to all the potential aspiring researchers. They will get to know a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.